CBS was going to air a really big story today about Donald Trump sending people to CCOT, which is the El Salvador prison. For some reason, it didn't get published. I don't know why. We're going to look at it. Here we go. Not even public crucifixions? Would there be, you can ask me, right? Just directly. Like, again, I like directly answering questions. Would there be a world where I would be in favor of a public execution, crucifixion style nowadays? Absolutely. Without even a second of hesitation. Of course. Yeah, why not? Sure. Yeah, why not? Yeah, why not? I don't see the reason why. Yeah, I knew the answer. Yeah, like, what do we mean? Like, yeah, that's your answer, right? Don't make it religious. Oh, they've done it for a long time. Too iconic. Could do something else. Oh, yeah, you're right. Well, anyway, so speaking of Old Testament stuff like that, they didn't want to do this. I don't know why. I'll watch the video about it.
Well, new this morning, some CBS News employees are threatening to quit amid fears of corporate censorship. That's after the network abruptly pulled a 60 Minutes investigation.
I'm gonna restart it.
Well, new this morning, some CBS News employees are threatening to quit amid fears of corporate censorship.
Yeah, I bet.
That's after the network abruptly pulled a 60 Minutes investigation hours before it was set to air last night.
That's crazy.
The segment would have brought viewers the stories of Venezuelan deportees sent to El Salvador's notorious prison. CBS says that it was still going to air it, but that it needs more reporting. Let's go live now to CNN chief media analyst Brian Stelter. This is really a severe blow, it seems, to the network's credibility here. What are you hearing from journalists there, Brian?
How can CNN say it's a huge blow to their credibility whenever CNN just partnered with a gambling website? Like, I don't, I don't know, guys. Like, I mean, y'all really out here talking shit? Y'all really out here going around talking shit? This bald dude still reporting? Yeah, I thought this retard got fired. Whatever happened to him?
I think that's accurate. This is a blow to credibility. Whether or not the piece actually airs in the future, and Editor-in-Chief Barry Weiss is saying to the staff this morning, this segment will air when it's ready. But here's what's odd about the situation. We can walk through the timeline, and I think it'll show how this doesn't really add up, all right? Correspondent Sharon Alfonsi had been working on this segment for weeks. She interviewed some of these deportees who described torturous conditions at CCOT, that prison in El Salvador that the Trump administration has been sending.
I would have never guessed. So they feel like they're being tortured over there? Yeah, duh. Yeah, obviously. That's the point.
Too. So these interviews were in the can. They were edited. This segment was ready to go, according to producers, editors, fact checkers, and even the lawyers who reviewed the segment. As of Friday, this was ready to go. And that's significant because on Thursday night, Editor-in-Chief Barry Weiss was able to screen it for the first time. I'm told she had some concerns, but there was a sort of an assessment that the piece was going to move forward. And on Friday afternoon, this broadcast was publicized. It was promoted ahead of time. Alfonsi's segment was announced to the public.
Yeah, I remember seeing this.
And yet, on Saturday morning, Weiss weighed in with additional concerns. And I'm told, according to sources, she was especially concerned about the lack of a Trump administration response to the reporting. Now, Alfonsi says in an internal memo,
it's pretty obvious to me that a lot of mainstream media is trying to present, like us sending these illegals and these migrants to El Salvador is like a bad thing. Now, in my opinion, I think it's great. I'm a big fan of it. I think we should do it more. So I don't have a problem with this at all, but it's very obvious that they're trying to, and this is the same thing that they did when you had people that were getting, it is great. Obviously, like, I don't know why you'd be against this. It doesn't even make sense to me, but there's people that are retarded. What are you going to do? So anyway, get them out of here. Yeah, exactly. And so, I see this happen, and maybe Trump might respond or like scare them from doing it or not. But I think it's also very clear that the way that they report on these topics is extremely biased. It is. It's massively biased. The way that they explain why these people are in the country, the way that they don't explain the people's like they're saying, oh, like this person got kidnapped by ICE, and it's like this person had like a warrant out for their arrest, or some other variation of that, or like they were like a previous violent criminal, and like the information is like selectively. It's selectively edited and it's selectively presented in a way to create a impression that is not accurate to reality. Like, it's really just that simple. They're trying to misrepresent what happens by omission or by misrepresentation. They very rarely, mainstream media very rarely actually lies. They never really say A is B, but oftentimes they'll say a capital A is a lowercase a or a lowercase a is a capital A. I think that's very common with what mainstream media does. So yeah, swaying public opinion by lying. Well, they're twisting the... I mean, fundamentally, this is the same thing to me. Because the intent is to mislead. If the intent is to mislead, then you're lying. Period. That's it. It's done. There's no fine print for this. It's pretty obvious. So I don't have a problem with saying that. I think you're right. But at the same time, I do think it's slightly different to be able to at least identify what the difference is.
Waiting for a response is unrealistic
Yes.
because it's clear the Trump administration did not want to respond to these allegations.
Yeah, obviously.
She said, I want to pull up the quote here, their refusal to be interviewed was a tactical maneuver designed to kill the story. If the administration's refusal to participate becomes a valid reason to spike a story, we have effectively handed them a kill switch for any reporting they find inconvenient. So that's the view from the 60 Minutes reporting team.
Well, they can come out and report it anyway. Like, they don't need to ask Trump. They can do it. Why do they have to do that?
This was ready to go. It was in the can. It was going to be broadcast on Sunday. But all of a sudden, over the weekend, Weiss decided to shelve it.
Yeah.
And that has created a real uproar inside CBS News, with widespread concerns about political meddling and about corporate interference. All of this coming as CBS's parent company, Paramount, both tries to ingratiate itself with the Trump administration and tries a hostile takeover bid for this network's parent company, Warner Bros. Discovery.
Man.
I mean, and it comes as President Trump has really been ratcheting up his criticism of 60 Minutes. Tell us more about that and the timing of this.
Yes.
I mean, the problem with this is, like, to me, like, I actually agree with Trump, but I don't agree with why. Like, I think that these news places, I think that they should have their news licenses taken away. I do. I think that they're totally biased, and I don't think that they are in any way, shape, or form of a higher journalistic quality than an independent media organization that just uploads things on their own. I think that with great privilege comes great responsibility. And why is it that these news publications have extra rights and extra opportunities when they're basically just using these things and co-opting them to push an agenda? That's it. So I really, really don't like that. And I feel like that's something, like, I don't like that Trump is doing it as, like, just basically he's doing it as a defense for himself. I think this is just true regardless. Like, I've watched mainstream media, CNN, all of these places misrepresent every single possible thing that they can in any story, try to escalate any sort of racial disparity between two groups of people. They do everything that they possibly can, and I think that they are ultimately an enemy to the people. I think that all of these media companies are enemies of the people.
That's right, and that is the essential
That's what I
context
think.
here. You know, when
hate 'em.
Paramount changed hands earlier this year,
Yeah.
Trump praised the new owners, David Ellison and his father, Larry.
Well, I bet.
He described them as friends and supporters. Trump was very excited to have CBS moving into...
Why being biased removes the right? Shouldn't the market decide? Well, I think that they should, but media companies have extra rights, and, like, basically it's harder to sue them for, like, something like defamation, for example. And I think that they should not have those extra rights because they're not behaving and acting objectively. They're subjectively reporting things. It's the same as, like, I don't think Fox should have it either. Like, it's not like this is, oh, they're bad because they're Trump. I think that all mainstream media is biased, and I don't think that they should have any extra privileges or opportunities for that at all. So that's the reason.
New hands. But 2 weeks ago, Trump changed his tunes. He started to criticize the
Longer special,
Ellisons
yeah.
and 60 Minutes specifically. Trump at first was mad about an interview with Marjorie Taylor Greene that aired on the broadcast. We know Trump cares a lot about 60 Minutes, and we know he's been railing against both the broadcast and the new owners of Paramount. At the same time, these owners need regulatory approval for their future aspirations to grow the company. So that is the political context for the story. Now, I'm told by sources at CBS that Bari Weiss became more personally involved at 60 Minutes in the past couple of weeks. But she said to staffers this morning that the story simply was not ready for air yet. It was not ready to go. More reporting must be done. And frankly, I'm not hearing many supporters of hers internally at CBS. I'm hearing a lot of criticism about this decision.
It's impossible to know why something like this happened. Like, I think that it's probably true that she didn't want to air it due to retaliation, but it's not for sure.
But you know what's happened, Pam? A lot more people are suddenly interested in the story, right? A lot more people suddenly want to know more about what these detainees have said they've gone through. So this is one of those situations where the controversy, the scandal is actually going to draw more attention onto the Trump administration's effort to deport these migrants to this very hostile prison where some men say they've been tortured.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have been here illegally. That's what I think. Shouldn't have done it. Yep, nobody asked you to come here. Shouldn't have been here. Maybe then they'll watch this and they'll be like, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't show up then. Could this be a marketing ploy? Well, I think it should be. Yeah.
All right, so tell us more about what Weiss said in her statement. And also, just to be clear, Sharon Alfonsi and the 60 Minutes team had reached out multiple times to the administration for a statement and interview, right? And the administration declined. I just want to be clear.
This says, doesn't mean they deserve to be tortured, though. I want to see what the conditions are. Well, here's the question. If they were being tortured, would I agree to not send them there? No, I don't care. Don't give a shit. Shouldn't have come here. And also, maybe that's a good thing now that they know. So they know what's on the table if you break the law, is you get sent to some fucking torture prison in El Salvador. Maybe then they'll stop showing up. Like, you realize that there's a lot of other countries that have policies like this now, right? Like, it's very common. Like, this whole idea that, like, people can just come here and, like, flagrantly break our laws, disrespect the country, commit crimes here, and then somehow we're supposed to, like, treat them the right way. Who gives a fuck? Just send them out of here. Get them out of here. What are we doing? I respectfully disagree with that. Deporting them is fine. There's people who deserve to not be tortured. Well, then they shouldn't have been here. That's the way it is. Here's a good example, right? Is that if you jump into a tiger's pen inside of a zoo, you're going to probably get mauled and killed by tigers. Do you necessarily deserve to be mauled and killed by tigers by doing this? No, not really, right? But it's what's going to happen. So you know what people do? They don't go into tiger pen. That's the goal. Again, there is a goal that I have. The goal is what matters.
On that.
That's right.
Because
that
you can understand,
yes,
if we're not
These
representing
requests for
one...
comments.
Yeah, go ahead.
These requests for comment went unanswered, according to Alfonsi.
But was it also for an
and
interview
she's saying
or just a
you can't
comment?
wait around forever and only broadcast the segment if they agree to be interviewed. She says that would amount to a kill switch. However, Weiss said this morning on the network's early morning editorial call, quote, we need to be able to get the principals on the record and on camera. She means someone like Stephen Miller, the deputy chief of staff at the White House. She's insisting on having those interviews. And again, that is her prerogative as editor-in-chief of the
I think it's important to have interviews from people from the administration, and it's guaranteed that it would be a better show and it would be a better episode if you did have those people on talking about it. But, I mean, if they won't talk about it, then you should just release it anyway. That's what I think. If she
felt so strongly, why did she only make this decision over the weekend after the segment was announced, after it was ready to go, according to staffers, after it was already publicized? There's something strange about the process here, and then there's the political overtones that are inescapable, and that is why so many CBS staffers are now alarmed in this moment.
Yeah, and just to be
well, the reason why they're alarmed is because CBS is maybe like now they can't use this news agency to be a vehicle for them to push propaganda. That's the reason too. Is that, I mean, do you really think that the people that were writing this story actually didn't have a bias going into this? They obviously did. It's not like they're trying to tell this story in the most accurate and fair way. They're trying to paint it in a light that it makes Trump look bad, it makes the prison look bad, it makes El Salvador look bad, and it makes the process look bad. Because their goal is to delegitimize and demonize the idea of removing illegal aliens from the country. That is their prime directive. So really, they're mad at CBS, but they're not mad at CBS for an ideological reason. They'd be agreeing with the ideological reason if it was an administration that they agreed with. But the reason why, and how do you know that? It's because many of these people complied with the way the Biden administration censored things during COVID. You didn't hear them talking about this. You never did. Why is that? It's because they agreed with it. So the fact is that this is not an ideological argument. It's not a principled argument. It is a power argument, and it is an advocacy argument. That's what they care about. They don't care about the issue. They don't care about the process. They care about the issue. and they're pretending to care about the process, so their caring about the issue seems more independent.
That's 60 Minutes asked for an interview. Well, not just comment, right?
Anybody
it
can
asked
see
for
this.
interviews with administration
They're clearly
officials,
biased?
and
Yeah,
that
they
was
are.
denied. Okay. Brian Stelter.
That's what I think.
That is what Alfonsi says, and it's notable that Alfonsi wrote this memo to memorialize all of it because she wanted everyone to know what happened. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
right.
sure.
And administrations do this intentionally sometimes. They stay silent. They don't put anyone out. They don't provide comment as part of a strategy. And Alfonsi is saying that to override that is not journalistically sound. All right, Brian, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, there it is. Asmongold Maggot. No, I'm not really a big, like, I like some things Trump does. I don't like other things. But I do like the idea of sending the illegal migrants to El Salvador. And I don't really care about the conditions of the prison. I just don't give a shit. I mean, they shouldn't be here. They knew they shouldn't be here. They know they shouldn't be here. They're breaking the law. They're probably breaking the law while they're here, too. Like, what are we doing here? Trying to, like, fucking micromanage. Oh, it's not fair. Well, it wasn't fair for Americans that you just came here and started living off of our system, right? So that's the way I see it. I know there's some people that disagree. They don't see it that way for whatever other reason, but that's the way I see it in general. And I don't care about it at all. But if they want to, and I think also if they want to run the story, I think they should. They should definitely come out there and say it. And if you don't, the thing is that everything should be openly stated. Even whether it's bad or good or anything else, it should be openly and directly stated. Because if you're not doing that, then you're lying. And I don't want to live in a fucking fantasy world. Why would somebody want to do that? Yeah, hard disagree. The condition should not be torturous. If it comes out, would you watch it on stream? Maybe. It depends on how long it is, right? If it's really long, I wouldn't watch it. If it was shorter, I would. And again, I don't really care about the conditions at all. And also, here, let me ask you a question. And this is the important thing. And this is probably going to be the difference in the way that you see it. Do you think that if the conditions were absolutely horrific and terrible and awful, do you think that less migrants would come to the country illegally? Very simple question. If they knew that if you get caught, you get sent to this effective fucking, I don't know, awful prison. Like, would that cause less of them to come here? But at a very amoral cost. Please also be patient. I'm typing. I'm nervous. Don't worry about it. A very amoral cost. Well, what about the morality of them doing something that they know is wrong? They know it's wrong. Like, it's not like it's a secret. So, like, you agree that it works and that they did something wrong. It's effective. This is what matters. Yeah, that's the way I see it, more than anything else. They could go the legal route after all. Yeah, they could always they could always go the legal route. I see what you're saying, but my limit is torture. Unless they're murdering and raping, then they don't deserve torture. Okay, so like if they are murder, like let's say they're violent criminals, are you okay with sending them to the torture place if they're violent criminals? Yeah, like let's say they're violent criminals. Like a rapist, any, you know, like let's say it's like that guy with the stick and he hit that woman, right? The guy's an illegal alien. If they murder and rape 100%, I'm willing to compromise with that. Sure. Yeah. If somebody is not convicted of any sort of crazy extreme crime, then maybe we could send them back. But, to their original country. But if they are causing problems and they're, like criminals here and they're violent, then yeah, then you go to the fucking death camp, basically, right? Too fucking bad. You shouldn't have showed up here and been violent. Like, by the way, like imagine going to China and doing this. Can you imagine that? No, you couldn't because you'd be dead. So I don't really care. I don't think anybody else should care. Never let people weaponize your empathy to make you think that you don't have the right to have borders. So that's a good middle ground? Yeah, that's fine. And I think that's totally fair. Pretty sure CCOT is only for the most violent offenders. Yeah. I mean, you've got to remember that Kilmar guy was like that was one of the guys that was sent there. Like, that guy was like a human trafficker. It was pretty obvious. It's so stupid. How and when the fuck do we get to a place where the right of violent criminals overturns the justice for the victims? Brother, and people... Yeah, exactly, right? That's the way I feel, too. Absolutely. I understand your position. I disagree with the indiscriminate nabbing that ICE is doing. There are not enough checks and balances in place with the people on the front lines doing the grabbing. Well, then maybe they should have thought about that before they let all the people in here. If you didn't want a dramatic and extreme solution, then you shouldn't have created a dramatic and extreme problem. Too bad. Don't give a shit. That's what I think. And I get some people want to care about that. And, oh, well, the system isn't being done the right way and everything. Yeah, that's it. Advocating for torture because someone's here illegally is fucking insane. Well, I mean, why are they here? And also, like I said, yeah, I mean, that's fine to me. If it's like somebody like this, migrant truck driver released after deadly crash. I mean, really, like, what are we doing here? Somebody gets killed? Like, we're talking about other people getting killed. And also, like, my goal really is that I want to make sure that people that live in this country are safe and there are no problems here. So everything that I would do would be in service of that goal. It's not thinking about the people that aren't supposed to be here. It's not thinking about anything else. It's simply about acting in the best interest of the people that live in the country and making sure that they are able to live in a place where they can feel safe. There aren't going to be people that will abuse them and hurt them. That they can leave things outside and not worry about them being stolen. And that's the primary focus to me. And so a person who wants to destroy that tranquility, I don't really care what happens to them. It's not relevant to me. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that they're removed. That's it. So 2%ers, yeah. And this weird empathy for random people is so wild, I don't understand it. Well, I know, and my goal really is, like, I will do my best to kill as much of it as possible by, advocating for the other way, right? Because I do think that it is one of the most detrimental things to, like, Western society. It is so detrimental.